So the Milwaukee Bucks just recently won a very close and intense game versus the Brooklyn Nets in Game 3. And going into that game, everyone knew, even Bucks fans, that if they lost that game, the series was completely over. But now that they won that game, it gives me faith that the Bucks can actually come back and win this series. So in today's video, I'll be giving some reasons to why I believe the Milwaukee Bucks can actually come back in the series and win the game. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want weekly NBA content, and helps me my goal of 1,500 subscribers, and comment on this video, start a conversation with me as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. The first reason I believe the Milwaukee Bucks can come back in the series is that fact that throughout this whole series, the Bucks offense has been absolutely terrible. And don't get me wrong, a little bit of the credit should go to the Brooklyn Nets because their defense hasn't been as bad as people were saying, but it still is far from amazing. And Milwaukee is just getting so much open and makeable shots, and they're simply just missing a lot of them. In games 1 and 2, the Bucks were horrible on offense, as the Bucks shot 20% from 3 in game 1, which is absolutely terrible. You're not beating any team in the NBA if you shoot that bad. And in game 2, they shot just as bad, as they shot 29% from 3. And you might be wondering, how does this show that Milwaukee gets back in the series? And it's the fact that during the regular season, the Bucks had a top 3 offense in the league. So them being this terrible on offense isn't something you should expect to happen the whole series. And if they could pick their offense back up where they could win a game or two and get back in the series, even in game 3 when the Bucks won, they still struggled super hard on offense, as they shot 37% from the field and 19% from the 3. That was actually their worst offensive game in the series, and they won it. If they had even a decent offensive game, they would have won in a blowout. But they just need to start hitting their open shots, because if their offense continues to be this bad, they're going to lose the series. But the fact that they're not down 3-0, they should be praying for forgiveness or whatever, because they're lucky that they're not down 3-0. All they need for is their offense to pick up, because Brooklyn's offense hasn't even been that amazing through 3 games. As shooting 45% from the field and 38% from 3, only scoring 107 points per game. That's far from terrible, but Brooklyn's supposed to be one of the best offenses in the league's history. So if Milwaukee wants to get back in the series, you're going to have a few games where they score 115 or 120 points or more, as well as playing some good defense. The second reason the Milwaukee Bucks can win this series and make a comeback versus the Brooklyn Nets is the fact that in game 1 and 2, Chris Middleton was absolutely horrendous, as he averaged 15 points, shooting 30% from the field and 23% from 3. He's supposed to be an all-star, and playing like that is truly a shame. But in game 3, he finally stepped up and had a huge game, as he poured in 35 points and 15 rebounds, shooting 48% from the field and 50% from 3. Truly an amazing game. If the Bucks can get help from him and their supporting players like that, and they can just knock down their open shots, Middleton doesn't even necessarily have to play like this every single game, because that would be unreasonable to expect. But if he could just play like an all-star and average 25 points per game and do it on good efficiency, they could definitely get back in the series. But if Middleton goes back to his old trash self and trash ways, the Milwaukee Bucks will never win a game in this series again. They're gonna need him to step up. Jrue Holiday hasn't been horrible in the series, but they could also use him stepping up too. But in my opinion, Chris Middleton stepping up is more important, since he's a better shot creator. I actually do believe Middleton will step up, at least in this next game at home. He seems like a player who plays better when he's at home, and I expect it's going to be a good game from him. And game 3, if we're being honest, is just as much as a must win as game 3 was as well. I mean game 4. The third reason the Milwaukee Bucks can get back in the series with the Brooklyn Nets is the fact that in the first 2 games of the series, Brooklyn wasn't amazing on offense, but they were still pretty good. And it seemed like a lot of the shots they were getting were simple and easy, and they didn't really have to work hard to score points. But all that changed in game 3, and as in that game, Milwaukee was clearly trying to be a more physical team, and it just seemed like they were more interested and engaged on defense in this game. And I think that's an honest reason why they won, because they were forcing Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to hit some difficult shots. And although yes, they are forcing Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to hit difficult shots, and those guys are some of the best shot hitters in the NBA's history, but in the first game they were forcing them to hit difficult shots. All their shots were comfortable and simple. When this game started, I could tell that Milwaukee was going to be more aggressive, and I kind of feel like this is a turning point to where Milwaukee's going to be trying hard on defense like this for the rest of the series, and they're going to need to keep playing defense like this because they need to make Kevin Durant work for his buckets. Because even though I said Milwaukee played some pretty good defense on him, he still ended up with 30 points and 11 rebounds, but he did it on 39% from the field shooting. Those little things can help you win a series against a team like this. So if they want to win a series, forcing Kevin Durant to have him maybe a few more games where he scores a lot but does it on bad efficiency will definitely help them win. All they need to do is be more aggressive and just always be engaged and have perfect rotations and stuff. I definitely think they're capable of doing that. Brook Lopez was huge in that game 3 defensively, but he keeps getting burned in the pick and roll. I don't know whether or not they should keep him on the floor. There's a reason I'm not a coach, but Milwaukee needs to keep playing hard on defense every possession, because when you're versing a super team, you can't really take any possessions off, and every possession matters against them. The fourth reason the Milwaukee Bucks can get back in the series with the Brooklyn Nets is the fact that early in game 1, James Harden injured his hamstring. And we don't necessarily know when he's going to return back to the court. And in my opinion, James Harden isn't the best player on this team. He's still a superstar, but he's actually the most important player on this team. Because when he's not on the court, Brooklyn resorts to a lot of ISO ball and things like that, which they could do at a good level since they have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, 2 of the best ISO scorers in NBA history. But when they're moving the ball, they're truly unstoppable, and it doesn't seem like James Harden is going to play in the next game or maybe even the whole series. And if he's gone, then the Bucks definitely have a good chance to come back and win the series. But if James Harden returns to the series, I'm pretty sure it's clear that Milwaukee won't be able to win the series, but the fact that he's out gives me a lot of hope that they can come back and make a comeback. But to conclude the video, if I had to guess, I would say the Milwaukee Bucks don't complete the comeback and come back in the series. I believe Brooklyn will win in 6 games, because in the first 2 games they just looked fantastic, and in game 3 Milwaukee barely won despite Middleton and Giannis playing amazing. And I'm not 100% sure how the role players will play in future games because they haven't been stepping up in the slightest in the first 3 games, but I will say this: if Milwaukee wins game 3 in like a not really close fashion, I honestly would predict them to win the series, because they would have the momentum and they would have shown that they can actually beat this Brooklyn Nets team, hopefully comfortably. And I'm cheering for the Milwaukee Bucks, so I'm not being biased. So hopefully the Bucks win this next game and kick Brooklyn out the postseason, man. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Milwaukee Bucks are coming back in the series. Drop a like on this video because I just preached to you facts. Subscribe to my channel because I post daily NBA content. I literally miss no days. And to help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers, comment on this video, start a conversation with me, as I do respond to all of my comments, and I'm out.